and you won't surrender to the blind leading the blind.
Hello, amplifier enthusiasts. That's you. You're probably pedal nerds as well, which means you need an amplifier that's also pedal friendly and has a cool color. What could that be? I don't know. What amplifier is pedal friendly and has a cool color and also makes cool mugs? Well, not the amplifier, the people that make the... Here we are. It is NAMM 2017. Right now it's not NAMM 2017. Right now it's December. But the nice folks from Orange asked me, hey, can you make a demo that comes out at NAMM when we release our super mega secret awesome amp? And I'm like, yeah, right, mega super secret awesome amp. And you know what? It's what they did. Demo over. Super mega secret awesome amp is pretty much mega awesome. Right now, not so secret anymore because we are watching the demo. So we have the Rocker 32 right there. If you want to know some more things about stuff in Blue, watch the unboxing, which is also on this channel. Should have popped up right before this video. We have the Rocker 32, which is a 210 stereo combo. All valve, as they say in the Britain, or tube, as we say, you know, when we know how to talk. What? No, here is the Rocker 15, which I shall cover in a short separate video, which is the whole thing, but in mono, okay? But later in this video, we're gonna cover this, how you can expand your 32 with the 15 and in other crazy wet, dry, wet kind of situations. Very cool shit that you can actually do. For now, this is gonna take a while, okay? If you wanna know about wet, dry, wet, expanded stereo field, how can you expand the 32 to be a wider stereo spectrum and all this stuff, jump to the later part of this video. If you wanna know what it sounds like, here we go. So, I have it set up right now with two Sennheiser E609s on this beautiful Triad Orbit stand with the O2X connected, which is a great setup. Give me a second. The cat was eating my food, damn it. Marvin. Like, you know, the paranoid android, Hitchhiker's Guide? He's actually white as well, like in the new movie, not in the... whatever. Who cares? Well, I do. So, I have it set up, as you can see, with those two Sennheisers in stereo. It's got two 10s in it. One thing that isn't super great, I love this orange and then the wicker baskety kind of thing, but in order to find out where the 10s are, you usually feel in the front. So I felt, you know, firmly to see where the wood kind of dents in, and it dented in right there, but it kind of, the dents were left, so now I've got two dents in the front of this thing that needs to go back to orange. In the back, there are two separate 16 ohm outputs for left and right. It actually has separate power amps loaded with EL84s. It has a clean channel that is one knob right here. So all you have is volume. It has a drive channel with gain, 3-band EQ, volume. It has a natural and dirty switch, which is clean and drive channel. It has a standby switch that can be half and full volume or power. I'm on half right now, it's more than enough. And on off. In the back, there is an effects loop. So right now I'm going out mono, which is the only thing that you can do. And I'm returning full on fucking stereo. So if you look at this really neatly placed pedal board I have on the table here, in front of the amp I have a KHDK Ghoul Screamer and a Friedman BE to see how it reacts to drive pedals. In the effects loop I have a Mimik doubler, which really only makes sense when you have stereo. So TC is kind of building a pedal that most of us cannot use. In a live situation, that double effect is amazing when used stereo. With this amp, there you go. A lot of things, there you go, all of a sudden with this amp. Mimik doubler. We have the Ventilator II, which is an amazing Leslie simulator. I still have to do a demo for this. It's the best one right now on the market. And that goes woo 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 woo. And that goes woo 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 woo. And then we have, of course, the Timeline and the Big Sky. And when the Timeline and the Big Sky are stereo, it is heaven, even though I don't believe in that. I've played stereo gigs with the Timeline, Big Sky, Mobius, and a couple of other pedals. I had Carl Martin amps, really great Carl Martin Rode 15. It's a 112 combo, 15 watts, which I think clocks in at roughly the same amount of money that the Rocker 32 clocks in, but I needed two of these, and I also needed to carry two. Okay? So, let's see what we got. By itself, this is the clean channel with my limited edition HP42 Harley Benton with P90 and what's that thing called? It's a humbucker, whatever. I got some killer sounds in the track out of this thing. I put NYXLs in it, Dario NYXL 10s, or actually balanced tension 9 to 46, because before I had I had 9s on it, and but now with the balanced tension NYXL, check this guitar out. Do not expect a Fender clean sound. You know why? Because it's an orange! It is boxy in a good way. Not a lot of low end. Really not. It's a 10-inch speaker, or two of them. But it has these beautiful mids. So it's not like a twin where the mids are empty. The mids are soft, round, creamy, and you don't need a lot to be very, very pleased. I could take that sound and pretty much be done with it and play forever. Let's check out P90 and single coil. Of course, we want the ping-pong-gidity. God, this is fun. And I'm not sitting in the mega wide stereo field, I'm sitting next to the amp with two speakers this close together. Once you start adding another cap, which we'll do later, and spread it. Right now you're hearing it stereo, of course, because I'm miking it stereo. But for me in the room, it's still kind of whoop. But it's a very clear distinction between left and right, not in the stereo field, but in terms of the clarity of the... I have no idea what I'm trying to say, but you know what I'm trying to say. That's the phase reverse of this guitar. It's not this amp sounding like this, but it can because of the phase reverse. What are we gonna do now? We're in the clean channel, let's try the drives. Okay. That's the Ghoul Screamer, which is always brilliant, the Cat's Afraid. only a lot of fun. That's what I'm trying to say here. Holy flap. Okay, we're not done yet. Okay. Let's take that Ghoul Screamer and add some Leslie to it. If you love Leslie sounds, you owe it to yourself to have them in stereo. Should we try the Friedman? Let's change guitars for that. Here's my Berumen Guitars Quilty, because hell yeah, that's why. Berumen Guitars Quilty from Texas. Check him out on Facebook, Isaac Berumen. We're gonna do that with a Friedman. Are you ready? Says the amp takes pedals well, they are really not kidding. But of course, what we want to check is how can we double that with the doubler from TC, the Mimik. Yes, the Mimik works. It is a chorusy kind of a double effect. Right here, I don't hear it as much as you're hearing it right now. Because, you know, you have left and right, I have right. Let's switch to its drive channel. Of course, I could fiddle around with the volume, but why would we want to kill the mics? We'll try it. yes, the clean channel can crank a bit. I have no idea what you just heard of that because it was freaking loud. I don't think that's the whole idea. The whole idea is let's keep it clean, okay? What I love about this drive channel is extremely versatile. Let's find out. From a very subtle breakup nice. I have not had that much fun playing guitar in a while. Because I don't know why. The sounds are just good. Let's look at this gain setting, what the EQ can do for you. EQ can do. You can definitely get some low end in there if you really need it. You could probably get scooped sounds relatively nicely there. Or singing leads. We should let's go there. And now we're gonna push it with the Ghoul Screamer. think it is safe to say that the drop channel of the Rocker 32 can easily be pushed with a tube screamer type device into a nice singing lead tone, given that also the mid knob on the amplifier is turned a little bit in the clockwise direction. Okay, I'm going to refrain from giving you my opinion right now. You might guess what it is, but let's go into checking out what this thing can do in terms of for you in the room, because what you heard right now was a closed mic situation. So let's figure out, how is it relevant for you on stage? How is it relevant for blah, blah, blah? Let's go into, what about stereo, okay? So let's talk stereo. The concept of a combo with left and right speakers in it is most certainly convenient, because you're taking your stereo rig in one box. We as human beings determine the world around us, where something is located, based on the time difference when sounds reach us. Okay? If a car is over there, it will hit this ear sooner than this, and I know it is on the left. So the stereo field is determined on when something reaches our ear. Now, if I am right smack in the middle of this, let me demonstrate, or right in front of the speaker. So if I was right there, with the speakers left and right, I know you were staring at my ass, don't stare at my ass. Yes, I can hear bing, 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 I can hear stereo. What if I'm on stage and that thing is 3-4 meters away from me on the floor? Chances are it's going to sound like one sound source coming towards me, even though it's coming out of two different speakers. Yes, the note separation is going to be better because each speaker is handling the left or the right, so it's not going to be a muddled up sound, it's going to be very clear sound, and that's already something you feel with the Rocker 32. But it's not giving you that whoa stereo wideness when you're right in front of it. Again, what you've heard before, amazing, but it was mic'd with two mics and you were actually hearing discrete left and right signals. So what am I trying to tell you? If you want the stereo effect, you actually have to use a second cab spaced further apart from each other, away from the Rocker 32. Let me show you the difference. It works a little bit. It's capturing an in-room sound when it comes to stereo is difficult. I have these two Octava MK012 mics in a Blümlein, I think that's what it's called, Anordnung, set up. And I'm going to show you what it sounds like directly out of the Rocker 32 and with an external cab spaced about 2 meters away. So let's start with the Rocker 32. I prepared a loop here. Let's see how that goes. Well, it sounds fantastic, but not really stereo for me standing in front of it. So you have all these stereo effects, you have the stereo combo, and you have this amazing sound. But really, the audience can hear it because it's mic'd, but you are not really ever getting into that amazing feel that you can capture. So let's unplug one side and plug in a 112. It's a GLB, it's a Sapele cab, very nice 112 cab. So now I'm gonna stand in between that with the mics right in front of me, like I would hear it. Let's see how much stereo you can actually get from this. Of course, if you're on the toilet with your iPhone, which, come on, that's, I know where we watch these videos. Try to get it, try to use headphones or good speakers. Or don't, whatever. Just for clarity, let's repeat that, and we're gonna do a Leslie. Not you, Leslie. We're gonna do a Leslie, not you. Although I might do you, but that's not in the video. So, let's go dirty. those are most certainly some of the most fun guitar sounds I've ever had. So let's now go back to just the Rocker 32, okay? Same thing, but again, just the combo. Okay, there you go. One other thing that happens when we disconnect the right speaker in the Rocker 32 and connect the external speaker, of course, we're only dealing with a 110 combo then. So one of those speakers that we pay good money for is, you know, idle. So we're gonna get into that into the My 2 Cents portion. It would be very nice to, in that case, if you want to use an external cab, actually make this a 210 mono combo by simply bridging the two speakers. That would be great. But here's another trick that you can do. You can get a wet, dry, wet signal. So what we had now is left and right stereo, but it was wet and wet. Both signals were running the wet signal. Now, there's two ways to get a wet, dry, wet set up with the Rocker 32 and the Rocker 15. Which are essentially the same amp, so you're going to have the same kind of sound. One would be you're splitting your signal with the orange amp detonator. Amp detonator. The amp detonator is gonna detonate your amp. I have no idea why a signal splitter is called the amp detonator. Don't ask me, that's orange. Those are crazy motherfuckers. It's a very, very solid A-B switch, but it's also a 1 in, 2 out splitter. So I could split it, go into the Rocker 32, run the Rocker 32 fully stereo, wet, and run the Rocker 15 completely dry. What I then still don't have is the stereo width, because my 15 is going to be over here, my 32 is over here in stereo, so it's only going to be something that makes sense when you're miking it again. But you don't need this. Because the guys from Orange sent me a little diagram and I was like, duh. So what we're gonna do is, we're running into the 32, out into the effects, but we're not gonna return stereo into the 32. We're gonna only return on one side, the left side. The right side, we're going into the return of the 15, only utilizing its power amp, because the preamp has already been used from the 32. That way, the left speaker of the 32 has the left wet signal, the right speaker is active with the right power amp in dry, and the 15 is going to be the right dry signal, wet signal. So wet, dry, wet. I hope you have an idea what I'm talking about. Of course, right now the way they're standing, we're gonna have a huge stereo field, but on the left we're gonna have wet, dry right next to it, and then all the way on the right, wet. Ah, can work. Let's check it out. I have not tested this before, so I hope I pulled all the right cables. Let's see. That is an absolutely massive sound in the room, because the right side of the Rocker 32 is now completely dry, and we have that chunk, we have nothing going through any effects, but the left side and the Rocker 15 are actually giving me the effect. Let's try this with a clean sound. What a setup. Possibly the most portable wet, dry, wet system that you can possibly get, where everything works together because it's the same power amp, the same speaker, the same everything, and light and killer sounds. Which brings me to, let's go to my 2 cents right about now. So, my 2 cents, Orange Rocker 32 and kind of the 15. I think the Rocker 32 sounds phenomenal. It doesn't have that mid-scooped Fenderish sound, but it's mids in the clean channel. It's so nice to play. It takes quite a while for the clean channel to break up, which is brilliant. A lot of clean channels they break up too quickly, and when you have pickups that are pushing it a little bit, it's too quickly distorting. You can't do this with this. Yes, you can crank the clean channel, but that's not really the point of the clean channel. That's what the drive channel is for. The clean channel works beautifully with any kind of pedal. Let's talk about the drive channel. Yes, you can push it with boosts, with tube screamers, and it can go from the tiniest bit of breakup for these nice indie kind of overdriven sounds to more rock territory and full on into metal. The EQ will, with its 3 bands, will get you anywhere. From singing leads to rockin' rhythms, scooped metal stuff. Well, okay, granted, it doesn't have a lot of bottom end. It's a 210 combo, okay? So no, it's not gonna be this 100-watt monster with a 412. It's not. But those speakers that they have in there, whatever they are, they're brilliant, and you don't need that bottom end for metal. That's what your bass does. As soon as your bass player plays along with you, the fact that those 10s keep the low end open for the bass and the bass drum beautifully. So I cannot actually say what style this amp is for. I seriously think that from jazz to clean pop to slightly overdriven indie to bluesy tones to rock and metal, you can actually get, with the help of a pedal or two, but I think you can get anything out of these. So that is amazing. Most certainly it's amazing that it is the only tube, as far as I know, the only all-tube stereo amp out there, most certainly in a small package like this. Price-wise, I think it's gonna clock in a little over €1,000, 800 something pounds. But don't nail me down on this. Please go use my links under the video. Go to Thomann, which is where I'm linking, and check your prices. Or if you're in the US, you go to Sweetwater. They should all be available when you see this. They told me that when it gets released at NAMM, which is right now, it should be available at your local dealer. So that is all great. Love the sounds, love the weight, love the size, love the stereo-ness. Insane! Of course, together with the 15, getting a wet, dry, wet system that can actually fit into your car, ridiculous. Just, you don't even have to push over the seats. Just put that in your boot, as they say in the English, in your trunk, as in the American English. Let me get one tiny bit of criticism. The first tiny bit of criticism out there. Let me see. Stereo systems. When you place them on the ground, you're kind of having the speaker talk to your ankles. Not so great. Well, if you have a stereo system and you're actually angling it up so you can hear it, you're smack in the middle of the beam of that speaker. Not so nice. I ran into Source Audio at NAMM and they had two risers, like 2 amps on amp stands, and it was a bad, when you were right in the middle of that cone, it was bad. So, for my stereo system, I have D-Flex, and I love to use D-Flex, especially for stereo, because with a mono setup, you can find the sweet spot. With a stereo setup, the sweet spot for one speaker is not necessarily going to be the sweet spot for the other speaker. So, D-Flex is, for me, a must when talking about stereo systems. Now, the problem is that these amps don't have normal rubber feet. They have these wooden bars at the bottom that are not very nicely sanded. They're relatively rough. And yes, they're probably super solid for the amp, but you can't shove a D-Flex underneath. Let me show you. You see that? I'll go back. Well, I guess you can shove a D-Flex underneath, but you have to lift up the amp. So, it's not ideal. It's nicer when there's actually space below, rubber feet, and you just shove your D-Flex. On the other hand, forget I said anything. I got a statement from Orange about the rails at the bottom, and it makes sense. So let me just read that to you. Apparently it's in the Orange book. Instead of fitting plastic feet or casters, which we found tended to rattle and roll, we came up with the idea of having tough wooden runners, that's what they call them, which we call skids. The original idea was durability, making loading and unloading out of vans and on stage easier. Shove them around, why not? So they don't break off, actually, when you... It could be, that's better. It turned out that the skids dramatically improved the sound by acoustically cupping the cabinets to the stage or wooden floor. Makes sense. You have more connecting area. Instead of a rubber thing that disconnects the cab, you have a wooden thing that connects it to the floor. So, yes, I think that makes sense. Forget I said anything. At least I could mention D-Flex, I guess. So, now let me get to the thing that I would like to see. In the 32 by itself, the 32 by itself is great when you mic it. It's definitely better than a mono amp because the left and right are being treated independently, so it's a clearer signal. You don't get that amazing stereo spread when you're sitting in front of the amp because it's this far apart, okay? So, it would be super nice if they simply had a 210 cab, just like this, for me to put 2-3 meters away. That's about 3 meters, it's about 9 feet. To have exactly the same cab on the right side for me to enjoy. Now, the problem is with that. if I, in the back, if I disconnect this side and plug in my extension cab, only one speaker will be active, meaning I'm cutting my capabilities of this amp in half. Now, what would be super nice is to have a speaker, let's say left speaker through, or left power amp through. So what I would do is, I will pull this cable out of the speaker output right, plug, and plug it into the through. At this point, both 10s that are in here are the left side, and I can plug my extension cab into the right side. That would give me a 210 on the left and a 210 on the right. Would make sense, right? Now that would be smart. There's a channel switch here, which I don't know if it gets delivered with the amp. It wasn't delivered with mine, but mine are pre-production models, or at least ones that I don't know if they're exactly like the way. I don't know if the channel switch is included or if it's extra. All it does is it switches the channels. So it's a very simple one clicky switch, which you can probably use any switch or any looper switcher. So that is something I would want to see with this. I would want to see a second speaker output and then a through for this one, so I'm not sacrificing one of my 110s. Okay, so that would be nice for the 32, and then give me another 210 cab, and we're good. But here is the stereo system that would be the most amazing stereo system, the most portable stereo system any amp company has ever done. Look at these pictures of the backs. It very much looks like the chassis of the 15 and the chassis of the 32 are very, very similar in size. I can't really see that they're bigger. The 32 obviously has the 2 power amps, and it is a tiny bit deeper than the 15, but it looks like you could, if you made the 15 a little bit deeper, fit the whole amp of the 32 with its 2 power amps in here. So imagine we have this. We didn't talk about the headroom and bedroom switch. Well, we'll do this. So imagine we're taking the 15 as a 110 or possibly a 112. I'm thinking a 112 slightly bigger, not a lot, tiny bit bigger, could be cool. And we're putting in the Rocker 32. Okay? So by itself, it is a mono combo. But in the package that you're buying it with an extension cab. So what you would have is this size combo, mono, but with a stereo amp, and all you're doing is exactly this thing, but without the amp. You're putting it 2-3 meters away, you have your extension cab, and you have this super wide spread. So either sell this as a stereo amp with an extension cab that you can buy, or just sell it as a package. So that allows you to actually space them apart, and in here have a 32 watt stereo amp. For me, that would be the shit. The Rocker 32 already is pretty much the shit, but if you want the shittiest shit of all the shit that's out there, put it into this, make it a 112, so you have the space for the amp as well, and then give me just the same thing as an extension cab, and I have this and this right here, and that's my stereo setup. I have a guitar on the back. I go to my car again for my stereo effects. So I carry my board with my second trip. It would be the most amazing stereo setup. Not that the Rocker 32 and the 15 with its wet, dry, wet capabilities aren't already a great setup. But if you ask me of what I would want for my live gigs, I want behind me this amazing wall. Put some deflex underneath, so wherever you are on stage, it's going to be super audible and super trackable, because that's what deflex does. It would be the amp of my dreams. The Rocker 32 already is so damn good that I'm thinking about finding a way to keep it here, because for stereo demos, hell yeah! And just to play with it, it's... the clean sounds just sparkle out of it, and then a little bit of reverb and some Leslie, and you're like, you don't want to stop playing. I had people play the setup, and they were like, what? So, as far as I'm concerned, for the money, yes, Marvin, I'm coming. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to film. So, here it is. I personally think that having the... all the connectors here is suboptimal, because if you have a stereo amp, you have quite a few cables to plug in, and you're gonna be crawling around on stage, possibly already in your on-stage clothing, and you're gonna get dirty. It's not perfect. Why not have the ins and outs here? You know, this would be so easy. Not the speaker outs, okay, but the loop. Having it like Fender on top, I don't necessarily like it because of the cables, but having out in right here would be nice, because you're very likely to plug that in every single time, because otherwise why get a stereo amp if you're not going to use stereo effects? Having to crawl under the amp and having to plug it in here is a hassle. So I would like those plugs here, but that's a minor thing. As far as I'm concerned, for the money, ultra highly recommended for any money, really, you know, because there is nothing out there, unless you want to deal with campus XFXs and digital whatever. No, this is the real deal, and it sounds fantastic, and it's mobile. I can't recommend anything else, because there is nothing else that does what these amps do, or what the 32 does. Thank you, Orange, for letting me play with them. Use the links below to check them out at Thomann. If you like what I do and you want to support what I do, please do. My Patreon account is also below. Would be highly appreciated, because Marvin needs to eat, and the dogs, and the health insurance, and the... it adds up, okay? So, thank you. Good night.